Hi, I'm John Poelking. I'm Mintel's Senior Gaming Analyst.
I'm Colin O'Brien, the sports analyst.
And today we're here to talk to you a little bit about what's been happening in esports, because it's kind of this opportunity that's come up now as we're all living through COVID-19, as me and Colin are together but separate, in our own places, because there's a lot that's happening. Gaming has seen this kind of huge uptick as people are looking for more social connections while still being at home, whereas the sports world has kind of had a different tale. um,
Yeah, I think sports have pretty much all either been postponed or canceled for the foreseeable future, and so there's now this giant void where sports typically was, and sports teams and players themselves are looking to esports to help fill that void. So we have traditional esports games like FIFA or 2K are involving actual teams and players in custom tournaments. The 2K tournament has headliners such as Kevin Durant and Trae Young, two All-Stars. And the FIFA tournament is a 64-team tourney with a single player representative from each team. So, that cross-section of actual athletes and traditional sports teams crossing into the esports realm is really, that what's going on right now in this pandemic situation.
Yeah, and it feels like they're really, trying to make the most out of this situation. And I think the kind of traditional sports leagues are doing a great job taking advantage of this kind of infrastructure that's been built up. Now, when it comes to other esports that aren't necessarily sports games, what do you think's been happening there? And what do you think? I'm thinking of games like CSGO, like League of Legends. Where do you see those other games going?
Yeah, I think two big things are happening around it. One, you're just getting more awareness and more people trying it and watching it for the first time. So, people that traditionally might spend their nights watching sports might now dabble in these new esports competitions. And I think, will all of those fans continue to watch esports once, basketball and baseball return? Probably not. But there's going to be a portion of them that do, and that will be big for the future of an esports audience. But I think also that's helping improve breaking down those barriers is betting operators are now launching lines and bets for these esports tournaments. They have bets that can be placed on CSGO. They have ones that can be placed on League of Legends. So these people who are craving some sort of betting action without sports now have an opportunity to get involved with a little extra engagement.
Yeah, there's always going to be that need, I think, for some sort of active participation in something that you're watching, which is a historic need that traditional sports have kind of fulfilled. But now with esports being the primary option, I think that there's that initial barriers kind of getting broken down by people that might not have seen esports as a legitimate option, because legitimacy has really kind of plagued the esports world for the last decade, I think. And now that, people are starting to get introduced to it, and those athletes and those traditional sports leagues are supporting those efforts, I think that's really going to, kind of shine a light on the world that wasn't necessarily there before. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that too, we're going to see those initial barriers broken down for more, quote unquote, accessible games that have ties to, traditional sports like NBA 2K, or even like, iRacing or
Mm-hmm.
CSGO, where, the objective is pretty clear. But do you think that games like League of Legends, like Hearthstone, the games that require a little bit more knowledge, that's going to be a tougher barrier to overcome, I feel like, in the long term?
Yeah, I think so. I think, it's easy to translate an actual basketball game to a video game basketball game. They're
Yeah.
essentially the same thing. But with something like League of Legends, where there is that higher barrier into entry, I think now, though, consumers have the more opportunity, more time to dive into it, where they might normally not spend a while to learn and to experience what the game's all about. Now they have that extra time where they've already dabbled into one part of esports. Now they might go a little bit further to get to those harder barrier to entry sports.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot that's going to be happening, and we're going to be covering it as much as we can on our end. Colin, thanks for taking the time to make this video with me. If you have any questions about the sports and gaming world amidst all of this, feel free to reach out.